Just before the video starts, I feel like I should mention that this is part 3 in the heavyweight series. So if you haven't already, please go check out the other 2 parts, leave a like on those 2 videos, and make sure you leave a like on this video too. And without further ado, let's get into this. In October 2005, Arlovski would begin his reign as undisputed heavyweight champion with a defense against Paul Buntello at UFC 55 in the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. Paul Buntello came into this fight with the reputation of a dangerous striker, but did have losses to some of the elite of the division before he joined the UFC, including Dan Severn and Rico Rodriguez. The fight would only last 15 seconds, as during the first exchange of punches, Arlovski would land a big overhand, knocking Buntello out cold. 6 months after his first defense, Andrei Arlovski would defend his belt at UFC 59 in Anaheim, California, in a rematch against Tim Sylvia. Since their first fight for the interim belt, Tim Sylvia had gone on a 3-fight win streak with 2 finishes. This event would also mark the first time the UFC had an event in the state of California after the state had legalized the sport. The fight would start with both men carefully measuring distance and landing a few shots on each other. Then halfway through the round, all chaos would break loose, with Arlovski dropping Sylvia with a big right overhand. But Sylvia managed to get up, and when Arlovski rushed in to try and get the finish, Sylvia threw a short uppercut that dropped Arlovski, and Tim finished the fight with strikes on the ground, crowning him the new heavyweight champion once again. With only 1 defense and looking at the fashion in which he actually won the belt, Arlovski's short undisputed reign lands him at D tier. The rematch at UFC 61 would be a boring affair, with both men seeming not to want to be dropped again, but Sylvia was able to land a more effective offense, defending his belt by unanimous decision. Sylvia would next defend the belt at UFC 65 against former Cage Warriors heavyweight champion Jeff Monson. Monson was on a 16-fight win streak with 13 finishes and was also an accomplished grappler with medals in ADCC submission wrestling. When the 2 fighters faced off, the height difference was clear for everyone to see, which seemed to help Sylvia in the fight, as he was able to stuff many takedown attempts from Monson, and while on the feet, Monson's strikes didn't seem to bother Sylvia too much as well. Even when Monson got the takedown, Sylvia would show he's no slouch in the grappling department, as he would threaten submissions from his back and managed to get up with no problem. Overall, this was a solid defense for Sylvia, who got the win by unanimous decision. In March 2007, just under 5 years after his last attempt at the UFC Heavyweight Championship, a 43-year-old Randy Couture would make his return to the heavyweight division to face Tim Sylvia at UFC 68. Since his last attempt at the title, Randy Couture had gone on to be a major figure in the light heavyweight division, winning the interim belt against Chuck Liddell, unifying it against Tito Ortiz, and then winning it back in his trilogy fight against Vitor Belfort, before once again losing it to Chuck Liddell in a rematch. Couture was coming into this fight at a major disadvantage in almost all areas, especially since Sylvia's last title defense showed that with his size, keeping him on the ground would be a difficult task. The start of the fight was electric to say the least, as it was Couture who landed a low kick into a big right overhand which floored the champ, and Couture managed to take Sylvia's back and nearly choke him out. The following round showed that although Couture was older, he had the speed advantage, and he would use that along with his consistent pressure to land strikes in the clinch and also get takedowns in almost every round. Tim would try to get offense going in his own right, trying to land strikes on the feet and even attempting a leg lock in the 5th round, but none of that was enough, and after 5 rounds of dominance, Randy Couture was once again the heavyweight champion of the world, winning the fight by unanimous decision. Tim Sylvia gets a B rating, having held the belt 2 times and defended it 3 times, as well as showcasing a well-rounded game with effective takedown defense and great striking, which is actually rare even for heavyweights in today's era. 5 months after winning the title, Couture would begin his 3rd title reign with a fight against Gabriel Gonzaga at UFC 74 in August 2007. Gonzaga was a known BJJ world champion and would be going into the world title fight with an 8-1 record, and was famously known for getting that world title shot with an upset head kick KO against Mirko Cro Cop. There was also a 16-year age difference between the challenger and the champion. The first round showed that Couture had the striking advantage, being able to land a big left hook and secure the clinch, where he would dirty box and attempt to land takedowns. But Gonzaga was game, managing to get up most of the time. Couture was able to smother Gonzaga until the end of the round though. It was obvious that Gonzaga had been gassed after the first round, and that may have been the reason as to why he'd lost the will to fight. Couture, seizing the opportunity, began to increase his output in the clinch, landing big strikes and also smothering Gonzaga on the ground in the second. In one last big attempt, Gonzaga landed a head kick, but unfortunately for him, in trying to finish the fight, he got caught in a clinch and Couture took him back to the ground and landed heavy strikes, finishing the fight by TKO, allowing him to once again defend his belt. And so the American hero reigned supreme over the heavyweight division. But it wouldn't be too long until the monsters began their hunt to sit on the top of the food chain. If you like this video, please show your support by hitting the like button, subscribing, and maybe commenting as well on what other videos you'd like to see from me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in part 4 of the UFC heavyweight division's history.